Yeah, I mean, I spoke to my dad about it, and yeah, and he said that yeah, she would rather, she'd want you to play. He just said make sure you win, so I did.
Next question. Tony, go ahead.
Just wondering how you feel you played today, and how tough was it when you were just crossing up?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to judge because, yeah, I mean, it's quite rare nowadays with the way that the majority of players return now. They're kind of normally like 2 to 3 meters behind the baseline, and the aim is to make lots of returns and get into the rallies and sort of impose your game from there. Whereas I really haven't played against many guys for a long time that have played that way. And he was doing it consistently. There was a couple of games where he hit like 3 clean return winners, and often off first serves as well. And yeah, it was impressive. Well, yeah, it was very impressive the way he was returning. It was obviously frustrating for me when I was on the court because once I was getting into the rallies and stuff, I was, winning most of those points. But yeah, it's not easy to play or feel comfortable on the court when, you maybe hit decent first serve and the ball's flying by you. It's yeah, pretty rare that happens.
Andy, Mike, sorry, just one more about sort of selection-wise for this match. With this other stuff going on in your life, do you kind of talk to Leon through the week about whether you felt able to play or whatever?
No, I hadn't discussed that with Leon. In terms of this selection today, I mean, we spoke about it on, I think, Sunday, and he said that I was, he wanted me to play this match. My record against left-handers is very good throughout my career, and we were expecting that Stricker was going to play, or Wessler, to be honest. I don't think any... Well, we hadn't spoken about Riedi at all, so it was obviously a bit of a surprise when that changed. And yeah, again, because of the nature of the way that he was going about things, it was quite an uncomfortable match for me.
Russell from the BBC. Did you really not know until now before the start that it wasn't going to be Stricker who was your opponent? Are you able to, is it possible to mask selections from the opposing team, given that you perhaps have a chance to see who's warming up in the morning?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. You obviously don't know what everyone's sort of warm-up routines are and when they like to prepare and practice. I guess you can get a bit of an idea, but we didn't. Me and Cam started hitting at 12 o'clock, so I don't know what they would have been expecting either. I'm just saying from my perspective, we had not discussed playing Riedi until 2 minutes past 12 today. And yeah, I'd spent the last 3 or 4 days, practicing with left-handers and all of that stuff. So it was obviously a big change. I'd practiced a lot with Cam and Jack during the week, and Henry Searle was here, so he'd been serving a bunch to me yesterday and stuff. So yeah, it was a surprise. Yeah.
What do you think about the format
Yeah, I mean, was always the. I was on the ATP Player Council when the initial discussions were had about this format. Not one person on the council supported it. We told that to David Haggerty and to the ITF at the time. We were told that that would be taken into consideration, and then like literally 2 days later, it was announced that they were changing the format. So. Yeah, we're fortunate here because we get to play all of the matches in front of a brilliant atmosphere, great crowd, and it is a shame when like France and Australia are two of the biggest tennis nations. They love their Davis Cup, and then they're playing in front of feels like an empty stadium. There's I don't know if there's like 1,000 people here, but when you do it in a 10,000 seat arena, it feels empty, and that. That feels wrong. So I think that the format will have to change if it's going to be successful again. All the players love the home and away ties. I haven't heard any player that has said that they don't. I think the fans love the home and away ties as well. So hopefully there's a way that we can get it back to that. I'm not on the player council, and I haven't had any discussions about it. So I don't know, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure they will because all the players are obviously. Well, we're not because we're playing at home, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with the finals as well. If Spain aren't there, what that's going to look like. How many seats and everything or tickets are going to be able to sell. And the thing that I do find a little bit strange, and this is just my perception, I actually don't know if this is the case, but like all of the promotion and stuff around this event, like I've seen, has been of like all the British players and stuff, and the British team. Whereas you've got like great players playing, like Stan, for example. I don't know, like around the city, if it's sort of, people are aware that he's playing because you just see the British players. That may not be the case. I just know if there was like a 250 event in Manchester, like Stan would be getting promoted, like that he's playing in the event. People would want to come and watch him. So. I don't know if something like that would help, sell a few more tickets to some neutral fans. But yeah, I think my feeling is it needs to change. Yeah.
Questions here? You have won a lot of matches against lefty players. France has 2 lefty players, Manarino and Huber.
Yeah. We actually haven't talked about that, but yeah, I've quite enjoyed playing the French players over the years. So yeah, there's maybe a chance, but it'll depend probably a bit what happens today, and then we'll see what happens with the other matches, but. Evo, I thought that Dan Evans played really well the other day, and Jack's a top player, so I really don't know. We were going to discuss it after today's match.
2 more questions, one here.
Regarding the game versus Riedi, what was your experience the most difficult for you to adjust? Is it to play a right-handed when you're expecting a left-handed, or playing someone that you never faced before?
The thing that was, I don't know what the hardest part of it was. The hardest part of the match for me was the way that he was returning, whether it was right-hander or left-hander. That was the hardest part, because usually as you go through matches, you start to feel a little bit more in control because you start to learn more about the guy's game, and you know, you see maybe where their weaknesses are and stuff. But today, I always felt on the back foot, like throughout the whole match. You know, I was creating lots of chances. Like in the first set, I was ahead in the first set, had opportunities there, I could have won it. You know, and was always ahead in the second set as well. Like, he obviously broke me back once I went ahead, but yeah, it was just a complicated match because of the way he was going about it.
Andy, Craig here from Nine Australia. Following on to your answer to Stu about atmosphere and things like that, I know you said you're not on the council anymore, but do you think there's still a majority of players that would prefer the entire home and away aspect when there are players that want it this way, they want to play the event so many times through the year? Djokovic making that point on a number of occasions. He said he likes this. So do you think it's evenly balanced, or one has got more of a majority, or one?
What's got more of a majority?
Using the newer format compared to the older format.
Well, the problem with the older format was that it was every single year, and that obviously, like, the best of 5, which is really good, is like physically it's obviously extremely demanding, and therefore you weren't really able to compete the following week if you were, you know, if you played a couple of singles matches and the doubles. You know, it was really hard to compete the following week. So if it had to be like every single year still, if that was what the ITF were set on, that it had to happen every single year, then, you know, there was suggestions about, you know, going back to the old format but playing best of 3, you know, and playing it on Saturday, Sunday or Friday, Saturday, you know, to give players an opportunity to compete the following week and to get more, you know, player buy-in as well. So I think there's options to make the format more attractive to the top players, because that was obviously the biggest issue, I think, was that you had, you know, some of the top players not wanting to play and compete because it was, again, every single year. Like when we won in 2015, the finals was in, what was like end of November or something like that, and then like in February we're playing, you know, like you're defending the title like just a couple months later. It just seemed a bit odd, but that's obviously how they wanted to do it.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks.
Hey,
how are you?
Thanks, how are you? Yeah, not bad, thanks, how are you?
Yeah, all good.
Good match.
Yeah, they were saying you did